Hello, I'm going to go over how to make a contact sheet in the print module in Lightroom. For this course, many of the assignments you'll be asked to create a 3x3, 9 images per page contact sheet with certain information, photo info including the date the image was shot, the exposure information, so that would include aperture setting or f-stop and shutter speed, and also your ISO setting. So I'll go over how to create that here. I'm working from the Module 2 collection with 36 images. So if I go over to Print Module, one thing I'll want to do is to ensure I'm in a collection with only the images I want used within that contact sheet there. If I had been in all photographs, for example, thousands and thousands of images would have been in that film strip or active mode, and Lightroom would be actively trying to create a contact sheet with all of those images. So since I know only the 36 images I want are in the film strip, I can go ahead and leave this choice at all film strip photos. If all of the photos were selected, I could use that. If they were all flagged, I could use that. But I only have some of the images flagged. I want to use all of the photos here in film strip photos. Depending on what you used most recently in the print module, something differently might come up for you. So to all be on the same page, if you go to your template browser, Lightroom templates, and maybe pick the 8x10, or up here on the right panel layout style, if you choose single image contact sheets, that's where we want to be. A couple of items are checked here: zoom to fill and rotate to fit. I'm going to ask that you uncheck those, but first I'm going to choose the number of rows and columns so that you'll see why I'll be asking that. So down here in Layout, Page Grid, I'm choosing 3 rows, 3 columns. All of the images are sideways and touching here. I'm just going to uncheck Zoom to Fill and uncheck Rotate to Fit. Okay. It actually made a bit better use of the page the other way when they were rotated, but the photos were sideways. If you find that all or most of your photos are a certain direction, in this case, all of the photos on this page are landscape rather than portrait, there's a lot of negative space on this page. One thing you can do is go to Page Setup and choose the different direction. Right now it's a portrait page. I'm going to change it to be a landscape page. I don't like the way some of the images are touching one another, so I can simply go ahead and change the horizontal cell spacing just a little bit so they're not quite touching one another. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and add the photo info now. For that, I'm going to scroll down to the page panel, and toward the bottom there's something called photo info. If I go ahead and check on this, by default the file name is there. I don't necessarily need to see the file name. I'm much more interested in seeing the date, the exposure, and ISO. So go ahead and choose Edit, or you could choose Date or Exposure to start there. But I'm just going to choose Edit here, and here all of these options will come up. Quite a few options. I'm I'm just going to go ahead and delete file name by clicking on it and clicking on delete. Here, numbering, I'm not too concerned with. Date, I have a bunch of options here. I'm going to go with month, day, and year. Insert. Okay. Next, I want exposure. That's under EXIF data. If it's not showing as one of the choices, you can simply click and choose exposure from the drop down and choose insert. One thing that's beneficial is to actually click on the space bar at least one time before inserting the next item. So if I put my cursor here, click on the space bar to ensure there's a space. Now ISO speed rating, again, it might not be there on the very top. You might have to choose it from one of the drop downs and insert. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press done in just a moment. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and clicked on done, and you can see here, perhaps you can see, perhaps you can't, but the date is reading there, the shutter speed, aperture, and ISO settings are all there, and that should be for all of the images. And I can scroll through the 4 pages. There are several portrait-oriented images on some of the pages that would benefit from the alternate page setup layout, but I'm pretty happy with the way it is with the landscape images starting on the page. So I don't have to do this each and every time I come into the print module to make a contact sheet. If I know that for the following assignment I'm going to want to do the exact same thing, have 3 columns by 3 rows, the same types of photo info including the date, exposure, and ISO, and perhaps a landscape page, I could go ahead and click next to Template Browser on the left panel. After all of the adjustments have been made, it's going to go into User Templates, and I'll call it 3 by 3 Contact Sheet Landscape, and create. That way, if I do something else meantime in the print module, let's say I'm working with an 8 by 10 format or something like that, and I go about my business, do plenty of other things within Lightroom, now all I have to do to get that exact same contact sheet back is click on the user template that I just created. Now when it comes to exporting the contact sheet, you will need to print it. You have several options. Down here in Print Job, you have the option of printer or JPEG file. Now to work with printer, you could either print directly to a printer. You won't need to do that for these assignments in the course, but you will have the option to print to PDF if you have Adobe Acrobat installed on your machine. If you don't have Acrobat, if you just have Reader, I'm not 100% it will work. You can try though. The preference is PDF, and that way you'll have the 4-page document exported. So if I go ahead and print to printer and just go ahead and click on print, printer, and choose PDF, save as PDF, I can just name it and tell Lightroom where to save the PDF and go ahead and save it. and it will take just a little bit of time. You'll see the taskbar status here. So you don't want to jump the gun and go ahead and post a PDF file before it's done actually creating. So here I've gone ahead and navigated where the PDF was saved, and I opened it up. It's always a good idea to check through and ensure that all of the images appear there. Sometimes if you have renamed something within Lightroom or moved it, it will appear regularly within Lightroom, but in the actual PDF, you may not have any imagery there. If you do not have Acrobat on your machine, you can choose Print to JPEG, and then you simply print to file, and again tell Lightroom where you want it to go, and it will produce JPEG files for each page within the contact sheet. Right. So I hope this is helpful for you and that you have a great day.